Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is Zen Dog Training. I'm Jason Connell.
And I'm Gordon Fontaine.
Gordon, we are back for another exciting episode of the Zen Dog Training podcast. And today, we set the stage last episode, and now here we are because we are doing what I think you call the Zen Dog Training Talk.
Yes, today we're going to do the talk. The talk is the conversation that my trainers and I have with every new client. It's a how dogs learn, the science behind dogs, the training options available to you, all wrapped up, hopefully in an engaging, interesting talk that helps people understand the direction we're taking with the training.
I think it's fantastic that you come to their home and then you sit down with them and don't just jump in on training right away. You give them the fundamentals, expectations. I think it's great. It's probably why you're so successful because what are we at 20 years now, Gordon? Is it safe to say?
20 years, yeah.
Have we crossed
we're
over?
entering our 20 years this November.
Congratulations, my friend. So it's probably going to take a little longer because you probably just talk to the people and I'm going to interrupt you and ask questions, but I think this is so fun to unpack.
I do have to say there's a type of client where I say, you know what, if you don't mind holding your questions to the end of this conversation.
Well, I'm going to be that guy today for this reason.
Well, there's definitely a type of clients where I say, please interrupt me at any time because I really want this stuff to stick.
This is great. So where do we begin, Gordon?
We'll begin with another reminder. The first thing I do before I even start the talk is I ask clients what they do for work.
Yeah.
Because I really want to get their perspective and understand their point of view as I can, just based on what their career or their background is.
Yeah, because they could work out of the home and be fully remote, or they could be a doctor, lawyer, or whatever. You understand their habits, their timeline. Are they around the dog all the time or not? Yeah, you're taking a lot of information.
Really about how their brain works. So if I have a teacher, they're going to be more susceptible. They're going to be more prone to do things that are eye contacty and that might not work with a dog or a successful parent, or a doctor or a lawyer where I can just throw stuff at them quickly, or someone who's maybe more art-based or wants more of a conversation to slow the thing down and have more depth. So it depends on I'm assuming how their minds work as I just guess a little bit based on their occupation.
Yeah, that's good. I hear teachers throw some teacher eyes at dogs sometimes.
That's right. Too much teacher eyes.
And the dog's like, hey, this is great. I'm getting attention. No.
I love that attention. And we'll cover those things in this talk.
Okay, let's delve in. So you've shown up at someone's home and here we are in the talk and you've set the stage. Usually it's not just one person. It could be the family, right?
That's right. That's right. I take a sheet of paper down. I start to sketch out almost a flow chart. And I start with the same thing every time. I say, Jason, dogs learn by connecting actions with consequences. They don't care what you say the words are. They don't care about words. They care about what they can get away with. And they learn just like we do. And in traffic, we've talked about this before. They learn based on trial and error. And then whatever they think they can get away with, that becomes the rule.
Is the dog also present at these meetings?
The dog is often, if they're crate trained, they can be crated. I try to tire the puppy out first, but I want to get the dogs managed so we can have this deep conversation.
When you even drop that first part on them, do you see light bulbs go off or whoa, like this is like new language to them that they've never heard?
I don't know. I think towards the end, there's definitely a lot of aha moments, but people get that sense. I think they agree with me at this part. There's a big agreement that like we talk about us in traffic. Like I always say, what's the speed limit on the Mass Pike? And this morning the client says, I don't even know. It's true. Like the speed limit's 65, but we all do 70, 75, no problem. But 80? No, 80 is risky. 85 is really pushing it, right? If I'm doing 80, 85, I'm expecting a cop. That's bad. If I'm doing 70, 75 and a 65, I feel like, meh. And if the cops are giving me a ticket at 75, I'm going to do 74.
There you go.
But I feel like we as humans, we all see eye to eye with that. The dogs are little opportunists. And they're learning based on what they get away with, and they're making a different relationship with each person in the house, depending on how permissive or how strict that person is.
And these people have sought you out. Your company is Zen Dog Training. So they're looking for this type of methodology, ideology. So that's also good. It's not, wait, what is this? I thought we were just going to crack the whip. They know that you have a very unique approach.
Yes, about 10 minutes into the talk or so, I'll ask and be like, hey, how are we doing here? To check in that they're not like, why aren't you doing something to my dog? But I shift gears here. So we're on the same page. We're like, yeah, dogs learn, little opportunists based on what they get away with. But the problem in dog training is that dogs live in the moment And that's why I called it Zen Dog Training. They're the ones in the moment all the time. And that's when I ask them the trick question, which you're already going to know. All right, you're already going to know. I say, dogs live in the moment. How many seconds do you have to let your puppy or dog know they're being good or bad? How many seconds do you have?
Immediate.
They don't know. Yeah, it's a trick question.
Yeah,
You don't
what do
have
they
seconds.
know?
You have less than one. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I always
less
say
than
seconds.
one.
I set them up for a
Yeah.
failure. 2 seconds would be the right answer. It's the lowest number of seconds. But a lot of people are like, it's got to be instant. And that's the dilemma in dog training, is that in order for a dog to understand, we have to catch them in the act. We have to signal to them in the act, in the moment, whether they're being good or bad. And so what we're doing in dog training, this is when I start to draw things out on a piece of paper, is we're going to make a bridge between an action the dog's engaged in and a future consequence. And that bridging is also known as positive reinforcement training. It's known as Pavlovian training. It's the anticipatory response. It's the idea that we can come up with a sound like a clicker or a word that lets your dog know in the moment, yeah, good boy, you did it, and earns you 3 to 5 seconds of time before you have to follow through with that treat.
Yeah. It's very interesting. They are constantly in the moment. They're not planning their day, looking ahead. They're constantly just right there, present. So it's probably a big adjustment to think that way, because people's kids aren't that way. They're not that way. So
Right.
it's
Humans,
a
we
big learning
hold
curve.
thoughts. We
hold thoughts.
Yeah. And so I always repeat myself at this moment. I say, so the punchline here, the thing we're saying is, because dogs live in the moment, we're going to come up with these short, succinct, clear signals, in this case, a positive one, that once your dog understands what that means, earns you 3 to 5 seconds of time before you need to follow through with your reward or interruption when we're working on that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've never really talked about the seconds. Of all the episodes we've done, we've never really broken it down to that. And it's really fascinating. You have this little window to act.
But 3 to 5 seconds is a lot of time.
No, it's a lot of time, but it is interesting to put it in that context. And you probably see this. It motivates them to be responsive in that time.
Right. And now I had this client, and he was like, I have to say, he was a tech bro.
Okay.
He was like, he ran his own tech company. And at this point in the conversation, he almost jumped across the table. He says, let me get this straight, Gordon. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that I have to signal to my dog within 1 second whether or not they're being good or bad. But if I do that signal correctly, I have 3 to 5 seconds of time before I need to follow through with a consequence. He summed it up. He nailed it.
That tech guy, he streamlined it.
Yeah, he did. He did. I loved it. I got it because that was my first encounter with a tech bro.
I love it.
I really like that. And that's what I want to drill in, is that the reason people use clickers was so that everyone in the family is on the same page with the click sound. And then the dog knows one sound equals good boy.
Yeah.
Not a bunch of different words and sound.
So at this point in the talk, what kind of questions do you get? Are they not giving you questions yet? They're just taking this information in.
The question here is, do I need to use a clicker?
Okay.
And the answer is no.
Question.
No. What I do is I write down the word yes, my yes marker. I put an equal sign to say clicker. And then that bridging is if you're talking about the science of dog and animal training, is they do this with dolphins, they do this with sea lions, and they use whistles or clicks or yes markers or good boys that lets the animal know in the moment when they're being good. And then the dog anticipates that reward that's going to come in a few seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Now that makes total sense. All right. So now what? So we've gotten through the clicker.
Well, we talked about this. So no, we talk about the Pavlovian aspect. I say, all right, so this makes sense. And then on the bottom of it, I've got the less than 1 second to make your signal. And I say, what I want to do is I want to talk about the negative signals as well as the positive ones. Let's talk about the negatives. Before I get to the negatives, I want to talk about what motivates dogs. What motivates your dog? This becomes the motivators, which we've talked about in a bunch of different episodes.
Sure.
So there's 3 motivators in the dog world, and I popped quizzed you on this before, so I don't need to pop quiz you.
Yes,
there's 3 motivators in the dog world. I say, do you know what those 3 motivators are? And very quickly they say food,
fear,
love,
yes.
And the one I hope they don't get right is fear. Fight, flight, food, and affection are your 4 motivators. And so what I talk about is how I don't want to use fear for training. And I think the last episode we did, Makoto, we talked a lot about how the difficulties there. If you're the one who's scolding and yelling your dog, it can be confusing. The dog can't separate you from the punishment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a bad role modeling. It doesn't feel right. There's a zillion reasons why we don't want to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they don't know that they tore the pillow up and that's bad. They just know you went crazy. Human went crazy. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we make sure that's clear that we're not going to use any startle response or any pain response for the fear thing. But I always say that there are ways to use a shock collar or prong collar correctly, even though I don't recommend them. In order
Yeah.
to do, your timing has to be perfect. That correction has to be instant. And the dog can't see that punishment come from you.
Okay.
So for old school choke chain training, you didn't want to look the dog in the eyes and zap. It should have been just like the dog puts his paws on the counter and then zap.
Yeah.
But we leave that behind. And I say, what I want to do now is I want to come up with another signal, a negative signal. And that signal is or hey.
Yeah.
Leave it. Hey. And what
An
that's going to do,
interrupter.
an interrupter. And what that's going to do is going to predict the action of us stopping the dog with an interrupt technique without triggering the fight flight response.
Yeah. And over time, the dog's going to know these things when they hear them.
That's
It's
right.
been ingrained in them.
But only if you follow through.
Only if you follow through.
That's
Correct.
right. And that's how we'll wrap this. Don't get ahead of me, Jason.
No, I
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. I love it. But that's where we're headed, right? Is you're correctly intuiting that the next phase is doing the repetitions enough so that it's not just a bunch of sound and fury, but no action.
Yeah.
And so now we have two things. We've
Okay.
got the positive, the yes marker, which predicts food and love. Or
Right.
we have the cut it out, which is going to be a physical interruption without triggering the fight, flight, fear response.
And this is a lot to take in on the talk. Do you see them ever just get overwhelmed? Because you're just laying the foundation here.
Yeah, there's certain clients I don't do this talk with. There's certain clients I use the talk at the end after we've
Got
done
it.
all the things. But most
Got it.
people, I'm making it fun. We're talking about,
Yeah.
and at this point, this is the last component. So we talked about no fear, and we're talking about the positives. Now we have a negative, like a that predicts an interruption. And there's one little innuendo. What I do is I draw a heart. We've already drawn the heart. And I say, it's really important to remember that any attention, including negative attention, is attention, and it might encourage or egg your dog on.
Yep.
And so there's a whole series of sounds, what we call shunishment. We did an episode on, where we sound hurt or disappointed or disgusted, and we take the attention away. And so now it starts to form what we're talking about. We've got positive reinforcement sounds and actions. We've got stopping unwanted behavior gently. And then we have these sounds where we sound hurt or disgusted, and we take the attention away. That's kind of the talk. And then what I say is the problem or the issue with shunishment techniques is that in order to do a shun correctly, your dog has to be contained or confined. You can't just turn your back and they go drink water. You need to have structured a teachable moment, which brings us to that what we talked about in an episode before of the secret.
Yeah.
Creating a situation with the right tools and equipment so you're in control.
Yeah, I think it's great. And they're responsive to this. They get this information. The good thing about this podcast and doing this with you is there's so much information out there now that you didn't have before for people to listen to. We have 30 plus episodes that we break these things down one by one. So even a new client, as they wait for you to come over and do the talk, they could educate themselves. But it's also great to get it in person, your energy, your warmth, your knowledge. I'm sure it's an amazing thing. And I would say it's probably great if it's a couple or a family to get all of this firsthand as well.
Yeah, although I tend to want to meet with one or two people at first to really deep dive. And then when I do a visit with all the family there, the parents now know, he's going to do the positive reinforcement. And they understand the theory, the huddle before the game, so to speak.
I like it a lot. I think it's wonderful because I've used dog trainers a long time ago. I know, I hate to say that out loud, but it's true. Some were punish-based, and others came in with their own agenda, and they're throwing clickers and giving me demands, and we didn't really have a deep discussion, and I would have appreciated this.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we really, as humans, you want to know the why.
Yes.
And so that's what we're doing. So we have the positive reinforcement. We have negative sounds that predict interruptions. And I talked about the police siren goes on, the dog gets pulled over.
Yep.
But we don't scare or surprise them or startle them. And then we have these like, attention gets taken away. And the thing that's overarching everything, and that's why we called it the secret, is this sort of attitude of controlling the environment and controlling your dog, using the right tools and equipment so that you control the outcome.
Yeah.
And the experiment, as you were alluding to, is not just that you say once and do it. It's that you have the leash on, you have a harness, you have control. And then when you say it's super easy to stop them physically without getting mad or angry.
Yeah. They learn. They're going to learn.
Why do I say
rules.
bring the treats all the time? Because if you don't have treats, your positive reinforcement is kind of like, well, he said good boy, but nothing happened.
Yeah, but check this out over here. I'm interested in this other thing.
Yeah,
So
as
yeah,
opposed to like, yes, yay, I had chicken bits. And the dog's like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever eaten.
I love it. Do you ever have another talk later or some point in time?
Do another talk. How did you know?
I don't know. I know you.
How did you know? Jason, we have the crossroads talk. So it's mostly for puppy class around week 3.
Okay.
When they show up and I can tell they're not doing the homework.
Yeah.
I say, Jason, we're at a crossroads with your dog.
Yeah. And it's really me.
We're at a crossroads. You can either take a turn and start to do your homework and bring treats
Yeah.
and do the exercises, and you're going to get so much out of class.
Yeah. It's almost like the scene in Roadhouse with Swayze, my way or the highway. But you don't quite go there. I get it.
I don't. Kick the door in.
Yeah. You give them a chance to self-correct. And if you don't do the work, it's obvious.
It is. And that's tough to explain to someone. Trainers say the behavior doesn't lie.
Yes.
And so when they say, oh, I'm bringing treats in every walk and the dog's just eating stuff off the ground, I know that they're not doing rewards or if they're not interrupting correctly.
Your sample size, Gordon, is immense. Thousands of dogs. Every little cue to look for. So yeah, you're at a higher level than most people, most dog trainers. So you pick up on it. Yeah, you're not going to fool you. The proof's in the pudding, you know?
That's right. Now, I love to use quotes during these conversations. I do.
Yes.
So I have a Carl Jung quote.
Oh.
It speaks to what we're talking about.
Okay.
And he said, you are what you do, not what you say you will do.
So true. Love
and
that
it just sums it up exactly what we're talking about. With our dogs, we're usually like, we're on the couch going, if you don't get off the couch and stop them, they're never going to learn.
No. You ever had a meeting with someone, either in person or on the phone, and they hear a dog in the background yapping, and it's just, hey, knock it off. Hey, knock it off. It's not working, but you're just annoying everybody with that. That is not the behavior that's going to get through to your dog.
That's right.
So, yes, follow the Zen Dog Training principles and you will succeed. Gordon, I love the talk. I love that you do this with your clients. It's fantastic. And you really build a connection between you and them. Trust.
I want them to understand that there's different approaches and each approach has a different sound and each approach has a different action. And there's not 100 of them. There's 3 or 4 of them.
Exactly. You kind of simplify it for them.
Even though it feels like there's a bunch as we just went through them, but it's really just several. And if you think about looking back at our past episodes, we have done an episode on shunishment. We've done an episode on positive reinforcement, on interrupting, on coping strategies. So if you listen carefully to what we recorded in the past and talked about, it's there. It's all in there.
It's all in there. So I got to ask you one more question. So after the talk, do you delve into dog training right then and there after you've...
Yes, I'll say, all right, the next thing we're going to work on the yes games. I'm going to show you how to do the interrupts. I'm going to show you how to do the shunishment techniques. And then when we're doing the games in the house and we go outside on a walk, we're practicing like, oh, this is a positive reinforcement game, or this is an interrupt technique, or this is a shunishment technique.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And they get it. They're going to apply what they've learned to... They're not just going to forget it. They're going to use it and see it and then be able to start to work together with their dog. That's fantastic, Gordon.
And I have
this
some
has
great
been great
handouts. I have some great comics, and they all have the same thing. This yes, no, shun. Those 3 things are written on the guide, and then the training comic that talks about the secrets and how to interrupt unwanted behavior. So someone who rereads my notes, whether they do this online or whether I see them in person, we give them everything, the same amount of stuff.
That's great. Get your dog Zen Dog Training certified. That's what I say.
Oh, it's great. Thanks, Jason.
Anything else, Gordon? This has been fantastic, illuminating, insightful. Anything else we want to leave our listeners with?
No, I really wanted to take our conversation, the talk, and distill it and summarize it and get it into a podcast so that we can share it with more people.
Yeah, great job. So please go to zendogtraining.net. The website is full of so much great information, ebooks, videos, all sorts of wonderful resources, and check out Just Curious Media for all the shows that we produce. Gordon, until next time, my friend, wonderful job.
Thank you so much, Jason. I had a great time.